All right. Good evening, everybody. It looks like we're live. My name is Kyle Wolf. I am with Think Tomorrow, welcoming Rayla for Congress, Rayla Campbell. She's running, correct me if I'm wrong, the 7th District of Massachusetts. I wanted to get the right number. And she is a Republican and running in Massachusetts in my home state, not too far from Taunton, right about 40 minutes. So welcome to the show, Rayla.
Thank you so much for having me. It's my pleasure to be here.
Absolutely, absolutely, and I really appreciate taking the time, especially Monday at 6 o'clock when you could probably have dinner with your children, right? um, but yeah, no, I just wanted to just get you on air and get people to know who you are as a person, and then we could definitely dive into the politics. But I'd love for you to just kind of tell our audience and perhaps your audience, about yourself.
Great. I grew up in Situate. I'm born and raised here in Massachusetts. So my life was pretty difficult, to say the least, depending on how you look at it. Growing up in an all-white Irish town, I loved it. My community was great. We had a little bit of, racism here and there, but I never experienced it full blown right to my face. And I grew up in what we call the village in Situate. It was, lower income housing in Section 8. And, I never saw color, never thought about race as anything. My friends were of all backgrounds, majority of them were white.
Mhm.
So growing up there was amazing. Going to public school was difficult. I got a lot of backlash from more of the other side, the MECO
Mm.
students, because I lived in a wealthy town, so it was a little difficult there. But it was a great time to grow up in the early 90s and early 2000s. We had Harmony. I moved to Quincy when I got out of high school and decided to go right into the workforce because I was done with school, wasn't a college person. So I went right into the workforce. I actually started working for Delta Dental. And,
Mm.
I bought my house in Randolph, and it was right as everything was going great for us. And then the economy collapsed. And it was really difficult. It was,
Or,
but you know
or was
what?
it the 2000 tech bubble? Which one was
It
it?
was, yeah, it was like right at, Obama got elected, and then it was just like, boom, everything just kind of fell apart. And we thought we were in the best situation. I mean, I had a great job, 401k, doing well, and then it was just like everything hit me. And I had to do whatever I could to keep my house, my family all together, protected, safe, working, trying to do whatever I could here and there. The job market was terrible. And then I got, a job with the company that I was at. I've been out with recently, and it was a lifesaver. And that was actually when the president was coming into office. So I got the job in 2015. I was temping there, and
Awesome.
they hired me 2016 full time. And it was like from then on, it's just been shooting up, skyrocketing. And I've had such great experiences all through corporate life. It's been amazing.
That's awesome. No, it's really exciting to hear. And that really just, to me, it sounds like the perfect American dream, right? You don't have
Yeah,
to go to college to have what is called the American dream, right? I think you can go right into the workforce. I went to a tech school. I learned carpentry.
I
And
did too.
yeah, there you go. So I
That's
guess
what
Detroit
happened
Tech,
when I
Detroit
went back. Yes,
Tech.
I went back and became a dental assistant. So I actually went to a trade school when I was laid off and out of work, and I was like, I got to do something. I want to do something. I had all this dental insurance knowledge, so I went back to Porter and Chester, became a dental assistant, certified Danby. So it was amazing.
That's really exciting. And yeah, for our viewers, I mean, it's just really interesting to hear that, viewpoints, especially in Massachusetts, that I've had the chance to interview a lot of people, and a majority of them are in unity with whether they're Democrat, Republican, in regards to public schools and trade schools. And I think it's really important to learn a trade because you could still go to college, right? I went to Bryan, I still got a great education there. And I think it really goes to show that you can be very successful in the trade.
Yes,
Um,
we have a couple of trades right here within our community. We have Blue Hills Regional and Norfolk Agricultural School, Agricultural School. Try
yeah,
saying that 10 times
you're
fast.
blissful
But
Aggies, they call it.
call it the Aggie.
Yes, the Aggie. Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's
Yeah, you guys
interesting.
probably go there too from Taunton, come up.
Right. It's
you know.
really close, right in Dighton, I believe, for Rehoboth area.
Oh
Something like that.
yes,
Very
that
close to Taunton, for sure. But yeah, Rayla, so I wanted to ask you a couple questions. That's the reason I wanted to kind of sit down with you and get a chance to know who you were. Personally, I think it's important that, you're voting for a human being, right? You're not voting for a robot that's just going to make decisions in Congress, right? Um,
exactly.
so one of the questions I had for you, Rayla, is what really prompted you to run for U.S. Congress?
It was seeing what was happening around me kind of over the years in the blink of an eye, how things were changing dramatically and not for the better. I realized how Massachusetts, my hometown, was losing its identity. It
Hmm.
was losing its history. It was being stomped upon. It was becoming very militant in the way that we learn, in the way that our kids go to school, Common Core. It's just, for me, once I became a parent, I acknowledge the fact that there is huge differences in the way that you should parent your kid, not be a best friend to them.
Hmm.
It's like you can be their friend, but you need to be a parent first. And all of the things that were happening in life and in the state and in the community affected me as a parent. And I was like, you have to make these decisions. Voting, I've always voted Republican. I've always been a Republican. I've always voted for law and order, liberty, and just truth and honesty. And that's always what I've believed in. And I noticed that our rights and our votes and everything in Massachusetts are always being taken away from us. In the
Hmm.
shadow of the night, when we don't know, they pass these things. And I was like, enough is enough. We need to stop that. And the only way to stop that is to get involved. So I now
Absolutely.
get involved.
Well, that's a really good reason to run, other than for just the salary, right? The
Yeah.
lavish lifestyle, right?
Oh, no,
No,
lavish. No, you're doing this for the people, and that's
of
the
course,
exact thing.
of
It's
course.
people need to remember when you go and you're running for Congress, you need to be doing this for the people. The people in my community have really been there for me. They have been there for me when I was down at my lowest point, and they have lifted me up. And I am doing this for them. They believe in me, and I believe in them. And I want to give back to everybody in my community. I want to give them opportunities that they deserve.
Wow, that's really nice to hear. And I think one of the things that we talked about over the phone was that the thing about the Republican Party and that I've noticed about their values is that they're really big on networking, right, and upward mobility and helping each other out, right. And never, it doesn't matter where you came from, what state, what town, what country, even quite frankly. If you're part of the Republican Party and you make connections within, they're really about helping each other out, right. It's not about like, oh, the little guy Kyle at Think Tomorrow that yeah, I can go on, but you know what I'm saying, right? So the thing is networking, right? So I had a chance to meet you through Julie Hall, who's actually running in our fourth district of Massachusetts, which is my district, Bristol County, in Taunton, Massachusetts. To have you, so she's a Republican as well, and it was just really nice to know that we can meet other Republicans and people that are like-minded that want upward mobility.
Yes, and that's exactly what we're all standing for. I mean, Julie has been amazing. She's probably now one of my really good friends, and just through all of this whole process, and along with Helen, she's running down, I think, down in the eighth district, and also Caroline Colarusso and John Paul Moran up in
Hmm.
fourth, I believe. And also Tracy Lavorne. Don't forget Tracy. She's out in the West. So we've all come together and we're working together and we communicate with each other. It's really important for us as Republicans to stand together and to be united and show that we are a united front.
Absolutely, and I think that's a big thing to do, especially in a blue state like Massachusetts, right?
Turning
Because
it red.
certainly, right? So that's one of the things, right? It's just like you can have one Republican run and the rest are Democrats, or you, in our case, that we have a pretty diverse set of Republicans that are running all over the state. And if they have unity, like you had just said, perhaps there could be a dynamic shift in the state of Massachusetts, right? From red to blue or blue to red, excuse me.
Yes, we're
Um,
just trying to give people the opportunity to have their voice heard, a choice. There's always just one choice. Every time you go to the ballots, just one choice. Maybe once or twice you'll have another one, but one choice. 40% of the state is independent or Republican. And when you think about that, that's a big number. That's and a lot of people who are Democrats may not be Democrats anymore. They may be more of an independent.
it has changed
So
before. I mean,
it
we've seen changes
has.
throughout history, right?
It has. It's just
Um,
There's a big diverse community and a diverse whole Massachusetts. I mean, and we all have our own beliefs, and we all believe in truth, law and order, and justice, and liberty and freedom for the majority
Mhm.
of us do.
Right, right. And Rayla, I told you before we even started this that I wanted to keep the messages and the consistency with all the candidates that I've interviewed. In regards to some of the questions that were generic that I want to have you answer because everybody has their own background and what their beliefs are, right? Specifically with education, right? So Massachusetts historically has had a very good education system. I wish I had looked up some numbers, but I think historically we've seen we're one of the models that the country kind of looks at as far as a public education standpoint, and even some of the universities, right, that we have here, like MIT, for example. Now, one of the things I wanted to ask you is like, what are some things in the education system that you think should be fixed in Massachusetts, and even on the greater level, right, even on the federal level, and how can you help as a representative of the United States, or how
Well,
would
the
you help?
first thing is Common Core. I mean, that is it's just got to be we got to get rid of it, take it out. We need to go back to traditional ways of learning with math and science and standardized testing. This whole idea of using, I mean, European ways of trying a process of trying to get our kids to understand how to carry the one when they're taking 10 out. It's the whole system is a disaster, and I wish they never implemented it's terrible. And the same thing with MCAS testing. I mean, why can't we go back to doing standardized testing, having PSATs, SATs, and helping kids who are in, let teachers teach the kids that are struggling in certain areas, help them more in that area, not just like saying, oh, they have a problem. No, we just might need to help them a little bit more in that area. The whole process needs to be restructured, and we kind of have to go back, look at when we were doing it traditional, the way that we all grew up with before they decided we're going to change something and add Common Core. We had the best minds coming out of Massachusetts, the greatest minds coming out. Now the kids are all over the place, and we're seeing numbers fall, and that's not what I'm going to stand for, especially in my state. It has
Right.
the greatest history here.
That's a
We should
strong
know
message.
it.
You mentioned a few of the things that are in the acronym STEM. Is that something that you have thought about and believe in?
Yeah, I understand the STEM program. I just things that I would like it to be looked at again and
Maybe
reevaluated.
add more to it.
It's like look at it, reevaluate it, because there's a problem with labeling. I mean, every kid shouldn't be getting labels. That's
Mhm.
not how you teach a kid. I mean, there's certain programs that we need to bring back into schools, and there may be other programs that are hurting kids that we might need to get rid of. So
I
it's a
agree.
yeah, it's definitely a difficult situation to look at and to have to implement all these changes. But I do believe that if we look at it and we focus together, we can do it.
That's awesome. That's really exciting to hear. And then, so yeah, so we kind of dove into education, and I guess like, are some of the policies? Have you looked into any of the laws that I guess that are in place now that maybe you would? I know you mentioned Common Core, right? Are there any other things that you would kind of maybe repeal or kind of fix, if you will, or
There is
add?
I've been looking at a lot of the different laws recently, and because my kids are still so little and they're still in elementary school, I usually focus on like the,
From their education?
yeah, but school
Upcoming, yeah.
choice, yes, school choice is big and it's huge, and I really think that the money should follow your kids wherever they go,
Mhm,
because my kids don't go to public school. I put them in private school, and they're on academic scholarship, and that's hard to come by. You have to work
mhm,
for it, and you have to dig for it and search for it. It's not like, oh, here, I'm going to tell you, here's a list of it. You got to do your homework and your research. So
mhm.
they go to Catholic school, and the education that they're getting there is so it's top notch. I mean, they go to the best school, I would say. It's right down the street from another one of the best schools. So
No,
it's
that's
really
awesome.
important to harvest that, child when they're young, and making sure that your parents are able to have that choice and be able to have busing, bringing their kids to that school of choice, and that's covered. It's just, you shouldn't have, I drive them back and forth. That's fine. I can do it, but you should be able to have that option of having a bus come to a local stop and pick up all the kids that go to the private school and bring them off, and it's covered, and bring it back. Same thing with after school programs. Like, that's the money needs to follow your child, and allowing people to have school choice, the school that they want to pick to put their child in is the most important thing.
Absolutely. No, that's great to hear. And I think education is really important. Like I said, specifically to Massachusetts. That's kind of why I wanted to address that first and foremost. And I think another pressing issue that we've seen across the country, really, especially with what we've gone through in 2020 thus far with COVID-19, is healthcare, right? Some
Yes.
people believe in privatization. Others are all about Medicare for all. There's a lot of different, yeah, there's a lot of
I'm
different
a
ways.
patient-based type of healthcare system. They always say my body, my choice. Well, like, my doctor is my choice. You know, I love my doctor, and she's amazing. She's been my family doctor with my kids and going all the way through. Since I moved here to Randolph, I really think my doctor's opinion and her treating me. She spends so much time with me. Her and her husband. I've had them both, so it's like they really, as a doctor, they know me as their patient, and they treat me what's best for me individually as a patient. And I think that that's so much better, having your doctor know you and being able to have that confidence in your doctor, instead of just pushing them on with just a mass produce, like, okay, it's like a robot, kind of like what's happening now with the telehealth. My own
Mhm.
doctor, like, it's taking away that human. And I love,
Interaction.
yeah, it's
I know. I think people need to understand that COVID is more than just the 3 months we went through, and I guess perhaps what they predict is a second wave that might happen. Hopefully not, right? But I think there's a lot of things that are going to change dynamically in our society, and it might take a long, maybe years, to even recoup that interaction, human interaction, in some ways.
I
Like,
hope
even
not.
I hope
I
not either.
hope
Yeah,
not.
I'm hoping I can do an interview when I have my studio built in a few months.
Yeah, I
So
mean,
yeah.
we need to get back to seeing our doctors. I mean, originally mass health was the model for the country. That's what they supposedly, Obamacare, they tried to build it off, but they ruined it. Like, our healthcare system here in Massachusetts that we had is top notch. It's the best. We have so many different options for everybody. And it's the best care in the world. We have the
Mhm.
best doctors, the best hospitals.
Mass
So,
General, Chuck,
yes, and, like,
tremendous
being
Freedom of
able to,
Women's.
exactly, and going on and being able to buy your own plan at a lower rate. I mean, that's what it's working. That's how it should work, and that's what the Republican Party is also advocating for. We want be able to have your choice
Absolutely.
of plan, your choice of your doctor. And if you have a plan that your doctor isn't in network, we want to make sure that there's ways to get you covered.
Right, right. That's great to hear, and I think that's one of the things that Governor Deval Patrick tried to work with President Obama at the time was the Obamacare, and I think it was a model, like you had said, the mass health model was, I think, tried to be used as a national scale, and I think, right, like you said, there was a lot of mishaps. I remember the website with Obamacare had a lot of issues for a long time. There were a lot of just
Yeah, they ruined the
operational.
plan. It wasn't even
Mm,
like, if they just followed Massachusetts and the model, it would have been perfect, because it is great for everybody in Massachusetts. But when they implemented the Obamacare, it screwed up everything. So
mhm.
people were getting double charged, triple charged, getting kicked off, having their doctors saying they're not in the plan, and now it's a mess. And we had the best plans and the best system, and now it's like needs to be fixed again.
Yeah, very interesting. And I guess, like, one of the things I wanted to ask you, specific to your district, right? So we kind of dove deep into healthcare and education, right, which are two very pressing issues, and especially in 2020. Now, one of the things I just wanted to ask you specifically, because being in Congress, obviously you're working with a lot of people from all different states, right, different representatives, and Congress as a whole is nationwide, right? So how would you specifically not just help Massachusetts, but your seventh district?
My seventh district has been kind of forgotten, and bits and pieces have been in shambles. So I'm bringing unity back to my district. Conservatism, our voices, our values, that's what I want to restore to the people of Massachusetts. Surprisingly, over the past couple of months, because we have South Shore all the way to the North Shore, I've been going across up and down the district, and we have so many similarities in common in what we all believe and what we all want. You know, we just want what's best for all of us and for our community. And the rule of law and our voices being heard is number one. Opportunities. The president opened up opportunity zones. We want to take those opportunity zones. My district is the biggest, the most diverse in the entire, I would say the entire nation, not just the state, the entire nation. And we have the biggest opportunity zones right around here. And we want to bring all of that in here. Innovation, start rebuilding stuff again here, right here, small businesses like we used to. That's how we used to be. So we want to bring it all back.
And I remember one of the things that you and I talked about was when Encore, the casino, opened in Everett, right next door to Chelsea. And I had this conversation with my neighbor today, actually, and I wanted to get your thoughts. And it made a very good point. Is that it's one of the more diverse cities in Boston. And forgive me if I'm wrong. Is that in your district?
It is.
It is. Yes. Perfect. All right. So good little segue. I love that. I just kind of guessed. I didn't look at that too closely, but once again, with that city there in Chelsea, it's one of the more diverse cities in our state, and like you said, maybe even in our country, the whole district as a whole. I'm just curious. Like, I know we saw cost of living really, really go up in Chelsea, and one of the things that we talked about, you and I, was gentrification. I wanted your thoughts on gentrification, and perhaps in Massachusetts, and what else in the United States. Like, what is going on in these cities?
There's a lot of gerrymandering going on. So that's the biggest problem that we have in our district. And these companies come in and they a lot of promises are made to people. And that's what I promises made need to be promises kept. Can't make promises to people and then bring outside resources in and take away from what those people actually thought that they were going to get. So that's been a huge problem in Massachusetts. We need to be able to, the people that are within the communities are the first people that should be benefiting from, like, having Encore come in there. And it's the Democrats come in with their social engineering and take over everything. And it needs to stop. We need to really focus on the communities and the people in the communities first.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And I guess my question to you, Rayla, is, I guess, like, who are some of the competitors? I know in the 4th district, we've had a lot of interviews on, I think, tomorrow, and a lot of Democrats. I think it's close to 10. And I know there's one Republican, like we mentioned, Julie Hall, a good colleague of yours. Now, I guess, who are some of the competitors that are in your district?
All I have is Ayanna Pressley. So
incumbent.
that's my competition. And now I'm ready to go anytime, any place. Let's get it done.
So another follow-up. Would you do a debate with Ayanna Pressley?
Of course I would, in a heartbeat.
All right, that's good to hear. So I will work on getting that set up, and perhaps having our own setup, our own interview similar to what you and I did today. And I think, are there any other things that, like, we may have missed that I want you to be able to have the floor to yourself for the next few moments, that you would like to just share to your voters and our viewers?
I think I would just like to tell everybody that I'm here to unite the district, unite the country, pretty much, bring back what we've all missed. Just peace, love, happiness, unity, just rule of law, equal justice for everybody, opportunities for all. We just want to be able to be free Americans living happy lives like we used to be. We need to open up. We need to open up big time, especially in Massachusetts. We're going too slow. It's time for us to open up, let people get back to work, let us heal together as a country. I think it's really, really important right now. As Massachusetts, we are so, like you said, so diverse. My kids, I have 3 beautiful mixed kids, so I don't see color. I see red, white, and blue. And it's really important to stand up for everybody and unity, and especially the people of my district who have been forgotten.
Right. That's a beautiful message to say. And I think one of the things we talked about of the current environment that we're in 2020, and how it started with Kobe Bryant, rest in peace. And I've done this in almost every interview. I tend to bring him up because honestly, that man was only, 40, 41, 42, something like that.
Yeah,
So very, very young, right? And he just got finished with his unbelievable career in the NBA, right? And he was going to do a lot of great things for all communities, right? So especially his
women's
hometown
basketball.
absolutely. So I love it. I love the NBA. I love basketball. And I can't wait for it to come back.
Can't wait
um,
for sports to come back. It's
oh,
terrible.
it's tough. Like I have to do this right now. I'd rather be watching. No, I'm kidding.
I know. It's like it should be a Red Sox game on. You know?
Yeah, something should be happening right now. But I'll bring this prompt up again. I took it off. But one of the things that you said in that last message is, I quote, "I'm here to unite the district," end quote. How can that message be brought to the national level, especially what's going on in this country right now? The instability, the volatility, the words are endless of what's going on. And I would love to hear your message and perhaps some unity there.
Yes, I do believe that we need to bring God back into our lives and back into like the schools for one, into the communities. It's so powerful to just listen and hear the word of the Lord, and it brings strength. It brings strength and it brings unity. And it's all how you interpret his word, but if you open up your heart and you listen, he is telling us that we are stronger united, and it's going to be okay. We can all do this together. We just need to take a deep breath, let the cool heads prevail, trust in God, and move forward for prosperity and for our future, for our children.
Well, that's a really strong message. I think that's the thing that we all maybe strive for, but sometimes we get caught in the day to day, right? The breaking news story that the media wants to press, and
Yes,
whether it's positive or negative, and quite frankly, 9 times out of 10, it's very negative.
take
On the
1 minute
scale
a day out for God. Just take 1 minute
of
to breathe, relax, say a prayer.
meditation, anything. I took a nap
Yes,
today. I was
come
great.
back down. I wish I could take one of those. If my
uh,
next son falls asleep, I want to, but it's like, oh, I got to do this, do that, laundry, and then the girls are running around. So,
that's exciting. But I guess, Rayla, some closing thoughts. I know we're approaching the 30-minute mark, and I want to be respectful of your time and cognizant of that. And I guess, how can people get involved in your campaign, and how can people support you?
yes, so people can go onto my website. It's raylaforcongress.com, RAYLAFOR Congress.com. You can read all about me, my platforms up there, my issues, and then you can also donate. There's a button right at the top. Just click to donate through WinRed, and you'll be supporting our campaign. You can also find me on Facebook. I'm at Rayla for Congress on Facebook, and the same thing on Twitter is at Rayla for Congress.
Awesome, awesome. And are there any swag materials like stickers or yard signs that you are promoting right now?
We are getting all of that up right now, so they'll be posted on my website as soon as we are modifying my lovely logo. Because Rayla, I gotta have sunshine, so my sun's gotta be perfect.
We need the sun out for you. I know, seriously. I think it makes us all look better with a little bit of sun. I've got a little bit going on here. But yeah, really, I really appreciate you coming on and getting your thoughts out there. And I think it was good for you to get your message out there, because people don't always, like I said earlier, is that they don't always understand the candidate's actually a human being. And I think that's really important to know the person from a humanity standpoint versus politically first. Then we
Exactly.
could talk. Then we could talk about the politics, which we dove into some topics today. But would love to get that debate set up with you and Ayanna Presley. I think that'd be very interesting.
Yes,
Um,
that'd be
and
amazing. I would love to do that. And like just to all the
certainly,
people of my district, they know me, I'm one of them. I'm not somebody that's just trying to go and be this famous person. I'm a nobody just trying to do what's best for my country.
right. No, that's really nice to hear. And really, thank you again. And for those that are watching on her side, think tomorrow. We just started about 3 months ago. I have a great team that I work with. I have some interns that are helping me out. There's a lot of people contributing. I'm the only one doing interviews. I love to have other people because I don't want to be the only one doing it. But it's fun. I enjoy it though. I sincerely do. I think it's a good time. It's a good practice. And it's good for my networking. But I think once again, with Think Tomorrow, you can check out our website, peoplethinktomorrow.com. And we're on a lot of social media: Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn, you name it. And thank you again, Rayla, for coming on. And I hope to have you on sometime soon.
Yes, thank you so much for having me, Kyle. It has been amazing. I look forward to doing this again very soon.
Awesome. And I'll end with this quote again that you said in this exclusive interview. I quote, "I'm here to unite the district," end quote. Rayla Campbell. Thank you and have a great night.
Thank you so much. You too.